5 to 15 minutes, 5 to 20 minutes, as much as you want.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. It's not often that I get an applaud when I go on stage. I hope I get an applaud when I go off as well. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I understand I learned today I'm the first ICANN CEO ever attending a meeting like this. I also heard that he said that some other speaker coming up later to me, it was a pleasure listening to them. It was not a pleasure listening to me.
Well, Jeff is legendary.
I know, Jeff. We have debated before on things like IP version 6, and I'm really proud to say that, I've said this every time, I won over him in an argument. Oh. And he actually acknowledged that. Oh. That's not going to happen again. I mean, first of all, I just have to, compliment you, everybody else, and especially John, in the work of the transition. It was well, I actually started a year ago as the ICANN CEO, and it was a year ago. It was 1st of April last year, and so I came in very late, and it was an amazingly interesting period to join because I didn't get it at all. It was just a lot of people doing a lot of stuff all the time and shouting and running around. But in the end, when I got more and more involved after the summer, and I had the opportunity to go to US Congress and testify in front of Ted Cruz, and we started up having meetings together in the kind of friends and families where we really got down. And then I got how important this community was for the transition. And I want to point something out, that what the US actually did was a remarkable thing, because I actually wonder how many countries around the world would have done the same thing. I could probably say that my own country would never have done it because we would always said that, yeah, you know what, we Swedes can do it better anyway, so why should you leave it to anyone else? I mean, you did it, the government did it, the Congress didn't do anything, and the court system actually, in the end, ruled according to law and not politics. That is something that I feel is very refreshing, and we all should be very grateful to all Americans for that process, so thank you very much. Thank you. I also know I'm cautious of time in this one because I know that the major event is not me, that's Elise, who's going to talk about Ayana after this one. But we had a lunch, so I'm going to change my speech. Because when I came into this, my first official meeting as an ICANN CEO was RIPE in Copenhagen. And I got into a discussion with someone who explained to me the differences between our different part of the community. Hi, Axel. And how important that was. And I was thinking to myself, why do we have a turf discussion? After that, I actually changed my official presentation of what I do. Every time I go to someone outside our small world, I speak about the 3 different pillars that actually makes this part of internet working. And I say that we are 3 equal partners in this one. You have the protocol community, you have the numbers community, and you have the names community. And we have to work together. And there is nothing else, and I also said during the Congress, this is a voluntary system that is based on trust, that we're actually working together, and that's the only way we can do it. So I engaged with John and I engaged with the other heads of the RIRs, really on that principle. I'm here as an equal partner to work together with you, because from the outside, we are measured as one. We are a trinity that has to work together. And I'm very positive and I'm very happy that I get invited to come to places like this to foster that discussion going forward. As one of the examples of recent things we do, and I always get this wrong, is also to thank you for the cooperation within us, the research we do with you about the health index. What we're trying to do is to really work together with you to find out ways to look into how things work and evolve. And it's been very helpful and we're very grateful for the cooperation we're doing with that. So thank you very much. So now when the transition was done, and to some people, the internet didn't stop working the day after. I know there were people expecting that. They were looking on the data screen to see if it stopped working, and it didn't. So what do I concentrate on now? We are, after the transition, we've done new digital programs, we've done the transition, so it's kind of back to basics. So a lot of things I'm concentrating on now is what I call transparency and accountability. Because now we replace the US government supervision of ICANN, actually you are in charge. Everybody who comes to an ICANN meeting and engage are now in charge of what we do. And that means that we have to be much better when it comes to delivering on the promise of transparency. For me, transparency is much more than disclosure. So I'm actually spending an endless amount of time and resources to try to figure out how it actually works. Has anyone here been involved in any ICANN policy making process? Do you sometimes think they are complicated? Yeah. Then you know what I'm trying to do. Because I actually think that as a part of our stakeholder model, transparency and accountability is the heart of the multi-stakeholder model. You have to engage and understand how to actually work with it. Because there are changes coming around the corner. And when we talked over lunch today about, and I often use this expression, the next billion users. We have 3.7 billion users, and as I always say all the time, I wonder how they calculate it. But apparently we have 3.7 billion users. And I claim they were the easy ones. Because they were often the elite, they were often people with money, and were people living in urban areas or in developed countries. The next billion users, if we really believe that internet is important, it's going to come from other places. They're primarily going to use mobile phones, because that's the access form that these people can afford, and we can't build fixed networks out in rural areas of the world. That's going to change the interface, how they interact with internet. They're going to change how the demands and the wishes they have for interaction with a body like ours or yours. And I think we need, and I need, to be better at understanding those needs going forward. It's not only about the way we do things culturally, but also things like IDNs, local scripts, and all of those things. Also, with the new mobile, like 5G, how that's going to affect us going forward. Because that's going to be different from now on. And we have to be understanding of that going forward. We do some other things as well. How many people of you know what we're going to do October 11th this year? Oh shit. Yeah. Only? Yeah. Oh, my team knows about it. Thank you very much. I have to go. I probably have to go back to my communication department. We are doing a small experiment, thanks to someone from Australia. I won't name his name. We're doing a small experiment where we're actually going to, in simple terms, we're going to change the password for the DNSX system. And that is something that affects everybody who uses the DNSX system. I suppose that someone else could talk more technology-wise about it. It's never been done before. It should have been done ages ago, and now we're doing it. We're in the test phase now. We built a test bed for it, so your operators and everybody who's involved in it can actually check it. But I actually urge you to talk about it, because the more people actually knows about what we're going to do, then it's going to be easier. Because there's going to be a problem for certain users if their operators has not updated themselves according to this new thing. So remember that. And there's also, David Conrad doesn't want to be seen as the man who broke the internet. That's how potentially big it could or couldn't be. So one of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that we now have an agreement between ourselves when it comes to the IANA functions. I think that's a very good thing to do. I think it was very proper of you to have that agreement, not only because I'm Swedish, I kind of like order of things, and I'm also now engaging with John and to see how we can, from the ICANN perspective, I know Elise will talk a little bit about the legal structure and how it actually works going forward. And I'm looking, because it's not only a piece of paper. It could be a piece of paper if we treat it as a piece of paper, but I think we shouldn't. It's actually something that we formalize the relationship that we have. And as a sort of delivering person in that one, I take that responsibility very, very seriously. And that's something I would like to work with you going forward as well. I'm very proud. I signed it, and I got tequila signing it. And so I remember that event as very nice. Thank you very much for the tequila. I actually did get tequila for that. Thank you very much. Very good tequila. With that, my friends, I'm going to leave you to it, to Elise, and thank you very much for being here. And I learned a lot about how you can do policies in this room today. Thank you.
Time for questions? Yeah. Any questions for our esteemed speaker?
Stump the CEO.
I knew someone would.
Andrew Dahl, CrowdStrike, Aaron AC. Not necessarily a question, but I just want to reiterate, we're very thankful that you came today. I think that's you know, I've been coming to these meetings for a long time, and the fact that you came and wanted to talk to us and wanted to see how we do our process is, I think that's great. So thank you.
Thank you. I heard this now since I came here yesterday, and I'm blushing because I'm not worth it. But the fact of the matter is, told me something that I need to be better, and we probably have to figure out ways of doing it, because we are, in the great schemes of things, we are a small bubble, and we're together in the same bubble. And I was actually surprised that my predecessor hasn't been there. No criticism to him at all, because you shouldn't be surprised to having me here.
Owen DeLong, Akamai, ARIN AC. I'll kind of echo what Andrew said in that this is the first time I think we've had any real attention from ICANN. Prior to the transition process, it was sort of we'll leave them alone as long as they leave us alone and keep the numbers flowing like they're supposed to. And we've got this ASOAC that sort of goes off and deals with the ICANN stuff, so we don't have to. So it is good to see this getting to be more of an interactive process, and to see you coming to our meeting. And I'm also a member of the Registrar Stakeholder Group, so
Wow.
I had my first experience on the name side of things, which was pretty surreal a couple of weeks ago.
One of the things that I come from the outside world and came in for a year ago, and sometimes you've all been to company presentations where people come up and they, first 10 minutes, you want to listen to what they actually do, and they spend the first 10 minutes about their internal organization, which you don't care about. And I have a feeling that outside this small bubble that we are together, with the protocol community as well, people view us as one. We all know that we have different responsibilities and we do things differently. But the trust of internet as it is on all three of us. And if that trust is broken between us or the outside world, we're not going to be measured individually. We're going to be measured as a collective. And I don't think internet is going to stay the same for the next 15, 20,000 years as some people think. I think it's going to change. The technology is going to change. The structure is going to change, and how we do things is going to change. And if we can't find ways of working together and evolving, we're not going to be measured individually. We're going to be that collectively. And that's why we have to have this interaction going forward. And by the way, I love to speak about CDNs. I heard it from Akamai. One of my favorite topics. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a nerd, I know that. Yeah, sorry.
Any other questions from? Thanks
Yes.
for joining us.
You're very nice. Thank you.